Today we're focusing on tenant representation in commercial real estate. This is all about how tenant representatives work to protect a tenant's leverage in the market, reduce risks related to occupancy, and help negotiate smarter decisions when it comes to leasing or buying space. Understanding these roles and strategies is crucial for making informed and effective space decisions. We'll explore how tenant reps add value and safeguard tenant interests throughout the process. Tenant representation is all about acting on behalf of the tenant or the occupier in the commercial real estate market. A tenant representative is essentially an advisor and negotiator who works to secure the right space for the tenant, making sure that the terms and financial aspects of the lease work in their favor. In many cases, the market is driven by landlords, so having a tenant rep means you have a strong advocate looking out for your best interests, helping you navigate complex agreements and find the optimal space to meet your business needs. Understanding this role is crucial in commercial real estate because it levels the playing field and ensures tenants are making informed, strategic decisions. Understanding tenant representation in commercial real estate is crucial for anyone looking to lease or buy space. A strong tenant representative brings structure, leverage, and clarity throughout every stage of the deal, ensuring the tenant's interests are fully protected. First, defining the requirement is essential. This means aligning on the location, size, budget, timing, and specific workplace needs before starting to source space. Without this clarity, it can be difficult to find the right options. Next, we analyze the market. This involves comparing different choices, understanding vacancy trends, and assessing landlord positions. These insights help uncover negotiating leverage, putting tenants in a stronger position. Then negotiating economics comes into play. The tenant rep drives discussions around rent, concessions, lease term flexibility, and improvement packages, always focused on meeting the tenant's goals. Finally, managing execution is key. This phase ensures that all legal, design, approvals, and deadlines are coordinated to close the transaction smoothly and efficiently. Together, these responsibilities highlight how tenant reps add value and protect tenant interests throughout the real estate process. When it comes to market analysis and opportunity identification, tenant representatives play a crucial role in cutting through the noise of the real estate market. The first step is to really read the market. This means closely tracking key factors like vacancy rates, sublease availability, asking rents, and any landlord concessions across different submarkets. With this information, we can start to build a clear picture of where the opportunities lie. Next, we match these market insights to the tenant's specific brief. This involves filtering options based on important criteria like location, workforce size, budget, lease term, brand image, and growth plans. It's about finding spaces that not only meet current needs, but also support future growth. A vital part of the process is spotting leverage. This means identifying landlords who are motivated, uncovering hidden space availability, and timing our actions strategically, even before property tours begin. This insider knowledge can make a significant difference. Finally, we prioritize action. We rank available opportunities by weighing their financial benefits, flexibility, associated risks, and negotiation potential. This structured approach ensures that tenants focus on the best options and negotiate from a position of strength. When it comes to sourcing available space, it's crucial to cast a wide net. That means sourcing broadly so you have plenty of options to consider. At the same time, you want to compare those options quickly and qualify them rigorously. This approach helps ensure you're focusing on the best opportunities. One of the key ways to do this is leveraging broker networks. Brokers can give you access to both listed and off-market opportunities, often before they become widely known. This early insight can be a significant advantage. Another important aspect is keeping track of live inventory. Maintaining up-to-date knowledge on direct space, subleases, renewals, and shadow supply means you're aware of everything available in the market at any given time. Lastly, fast screening is essential. You'll want to quickly eliminate spaces that don't fit your timing, economic goals, or workplace needs. This process saves time and helps zero in on the most viable options for your tenant representation strategy. When selecting a site, it's crucial to find the right balance between market position, user experience, and long-term operating performance. We evaluate potential sites using two layers of criteria: primary and secondary. The primary criteria focus on the fundamental aspects that impact the site's suitability. This includes location fit, which covers how well the site reaches customers, access to labor, and the visibility in the market. We also consider access and commute factors, such as transit options, parking availability, drive times, and overall convenience for users. Lastly, total occupancy cost is a key factor, which combines rent, operating expenses, and any build-out costs. Secondary criteria help refine the decision by looking at operational reliability, including building systems, maintenance, and service quality. Space efficiency is also important, ensuring the layout supports usability, density, and smooth workflow. Plus, growth flexibility is considered, giving us options for expansion, contraction, and lease term adjustments. Together, these criteria help us make informed, strategic decisions about site selection that serve both immediate needs and future growth. When negotiating a lease, it's important to remember that the deal is rarely just about the base rent. The real value comes from the full package of terms. First, with rent rates, don't focus only on the headline number. You want to negotiate the face rent, free rent periods, escalation structure, and compare pricing to similar properties to ensure you're getting a fair deal. Next, consider the term length carefully. Your lease commitment should align with your business growth, the risk of contraction, and your capital plans to maintain flexibility. Renewal options are another critical element. Make sure you preserve future leverage by clearly defining option windows and the pricing terms for renewals. Tenant improvements are also key. You should push for a tenant improvement allowance, clarify delivery timing, and establish who controls the build-out. Decisions to avoid surprises down the line. Lastly, operating expenses can often add up, so cap pass-throughs where possible, secure audit rights, and clearly define what can be charged to avoid unexpected costs. Understanding these fundamentals will help you negotiate a well-rounded lease that supports your business goals. When we talk about lease structures, the key distinction isn't just the rent amount itself, but rather which operating costs the tenant is responsible for. Let's break down the three main types. First, the gross lease. Here, the tenant pays a single base rent amount, and the landlord handles most of the building's operating expenses. Although the stated rent might be higher, this setup offers the tenant more predictable monthly occupancy costs, which can be a real advantage for budgeting. Next is the net lease. In this case, the tenant pays a lower base rent, but also picks up some or all of the building expenses, like taxes, insurance, and common area maintenance. This means the total cost can fluctuate as those operating expenses change, so tenants need to be prepared for potential increases. Finally, there's the modified gross lease, which is kind of a middle ground. Some expenses remain with the landlord, while other costs are passed through to the tenant based on negotiation. This offers flexibility, but requires tenants to carefully review which costs they're actually taking on. A crucial point for tenant representatives is to compare the effective cost of these leases, not just the headline rent. Understanding these nuances helps ensure tenants make informed decisions about their occupancy costs. When it comes to tenant improvement negotiations, a strong tenant representative plays a crucial role in turning build-out costs into a strategic advantage. The key is to align landlord contributions, realistic budget expectations, and phased design decisions from the very beginning. First, the tenant improvement allowance strategy is essential. This means negotiating not just the allowance amount per square foot, but also clearly defining what expenses are eligible, when payments will occur, and whether any unused funds can be applied as rent credits or offsets for other fees. Next, budget discipline is critical. It's important to test construction estimates early by comparing them against prevailing market pricing. This helps ensure that the project's scope, contingencies, and the landlord's financial contribution are all in sync and realistic. Then, there's design phase control. You need to establish upfront who has the authority to approve plans, how change orders will be managed, and what the process is if there are delays with permitting or material delivery. This mitigates surprises and keeps the project on track. Throughout negotiations, the focus should be on locking down the project scope, budget, and approval timelines prior to signing the lease. This approach helps avoid costly misunderstandings later and gives tenants greater confidence in managing their improvement projects efficiently. When we talk about financial analysis and ROI in tenant representation, it's important to understand that tenant reps look at much more than just the rent amount. They carefully analyze how the lease terms impact the overall occupancy cost, the flexibility the tenant has, and the long-term business value. Essentially, the best lease deal isn't just about the price on day one, it's about how it performs throughout the entire lease term. From an ROI perspective, there are several critical factors that get evaluated. First, occupancy cost. This includes the base rent, any rent escalations, operating expenses, and any hidden charges that might come up during the lease. Next, upfront capital. Things like improvement costs, contributions from the landlord, moving expenses, and when these costs need to be paid, all of which affect cash flow. Lastly, strategic value plays a huge role. This covers elements such as expansion rights, renewal options, and overall flexibility, as well as how efficiently the space can be operated. These factors directly influence the tenant's future return on investment. By understanding these key points, tenant representatives can ensure their clients secure leases that not only fit their immediate needs, but also support their long-term business goals. When we talk about due diligence and risk assessment, it's really about having a disciplined review process that helps tenants identify potential risks before finalizing their space, terms, or timing. There are 4 critical phases to this process. First, the environmental review. This step focuses on identifying any contamination, hazardous materials, or compliance issues. These could cause delays in occupancy or lead to future liabilities, so it's crucial to uncover these early. Second is the building inspection. Here, we verify the condition of key systems like HVAC, life safety features, elevators, the roof, and common areas. Knowing the state of these components before committing helps avoid unexpected problems down the line. Third, we have zoning verification. This phase ensures that the intended use of the space aligns with local regulations and landlord approvals, including parking, signage, and occupancy levels. It's important that the space is compliant to avoid legal troubles. Finally, the financial review. This involves stress testing the rent, operating expenses, capital needs, and concession values. The goal is to understand the total real cost of occupancy so tenants can make fully informed decisions. Each of these phases plays a vital role in reducing avoidable lease risks and helps tenants approach their lease agreements confidently and effectively. Let's dive into the critical aspects of building systems and operations that impact the overall performance of a commercial space. First, HVAC capacity is essential. It needs to support the number of people, operating hours, and maintain comfort levels throughout the entire lease term. This isn't just about cooling or heating, it's about sustaining a productive and pleasant environment consistently. Power and redundancy are equally important. The electrical load should be sufficient for current needs, with backup systems in place to ensure resilience and operational continuity. Any downtime here can disrupt business and cause significant issues. Life safety measures like fire systems, access control, and code compliance aren't just regulatory boxes to check. They directly affect risk management and how many occupants the space can safely hold, influencing both insurance and legal considerations. Maintenance quality cannot be overlooked either. Deferred upkeep might save money today, but often leads to higher costs, operational disruptions, and even conflicts with landlords down the road. Good maintenance practices keep spaces performing well behind the scenes, long before tenants even step inside. In essence, operational due diligence is about understanding how these elements come together to support tenant needs and protect investments in commercial real estate. The performance of the space really starts behind the walls, and that's where thoughtful tenant representation makes a significant difference. When we talk about the tenant representative's advocacy role, the core idea is that every decision centers on one key question: what best serves the tenant? This means their primary responsibility is to protect the tenant's interests throughout the entire process, from the initial property search all the way to signing the lease. They are not there to advance the landlord's agenda or to prioritize the broker's convenience. Instead, they focus entirely on the tenant's leverage, economics, flexibility, and risk position. Understanding this advocacy role is crucial because it highlights how tenant reps ensure the tenant gets the best possible outcome in commercial real estate transactions. When we look at technology in tenant representation, it's clear that modern tenant reps rely heavily on a combination of market intelligence, analytics, and workflow tools to work more efficiently and make smarter decisions. First, market data platforms are essential. They allow us to track key metrics like asking rents, vacancies, comparable properties, and pipeline activity. This information helps benchmark options and identify where we might have leverage in negotiations. Next, mapping and location analytics play a crucial role. By overlaying commute patterns, labor access, proximity to clients, and nearby amenities, we can strategically compare different sites based on factors that matter most to the tenant's operations and employees. Lease modeling tools are another key technology. These tools help us break down the financials by modeling rent steps, concessions, operating expenses, and tenant improvement packages, giving a clear picture of the total occupancy cost over time. Finally, CRM and deal tracking systems keep everything organized throughout the process. They help ensure that tours, proposals, deadlines, approvals, and all stakeholder communications stay aligned, so nothing slips through the cracks. Together, these technologies empower tenant representatives to move faster and negotiate from a position of greater knowledge and confidence. Managing timelines and deadlines is crucial to a successful lease transaction. Typically, the entire process spans 6 to 9 months, from the initial search all the way to move-in. Staying disciplined with timing helps maintain your leverage and prevents you from rushing important decisions. In the first 1 to 2 months, the focus is on defining your needs and shortlisting viable spaces. By month 3, you'll be touring properties, comparing layouts, costs, and other key factors. Around months 3 to 4, the letter of intent comes into play. This step is vital for creating competitive pressure before the legal drafting begins. From months 4 to 6, you'll dive into negotiating the lease itself, covering economics, clauses, and securing necessary approvals. Finally, between months 6 and 9, you manage tenant improvements, coordinate vendors, and prepare for occupancy. It's important to note that delays in legal reviews, approvals, or construction later in the process can squeeze your leverage, making it difficult to secure favorable terms. So staying on schedule and tracking each milestone relentlessly makes all the difference in a smooth transaction. When we talk about tenant representation in commercial real estate, several key elements come into play. First, effective communication with all stakeholders is crucial to ensure everyone is aligned and informed throughout the process. Leadership plays a vital role in guiding decisions and maintaining project momentum. Managing cost, timeline, and critical decision points helps keep the project on track and within budget. Employees are central to this process, as their experience and readiness for change can significantly impact success. We also need to consider legal and financial aspects carefully, since risk management, necessary approvals, and lease economics are foundational to sound agreements. The landlord and project team must be coordinated efficiently, with clear responses, deliverables, and accountability to ensure progress. Altogether, understanding these components helps us navigate tenant representation effectively in the commercial real estate landscape. One of the biggest mistakes tenants make is focusing solely on asking rent. It's important to look beyond the sticker price and consider the total occupancy cost, including concessions, lease term, and any build-out expenses. Another common pitfall is starting the search too late. To keep your options open and maintain good timing, it's best to begin the process 9 to 12 months ahead. Negotiating with just one landlord can also limit your leverage. Keeping multiple alternatives live creates competitive pressure and better deals. Finally, ignoring your future flexibility needs can cause problems down the line. It's crucial to secure rights for expansion, renewal, contraction, and assignment upfront to protect your business as it evolves. Avoiding these mistakes can help preserve your negotiating power from the very start. Let's talk about the key market trends that are shaping tenant decisions today. First, hybrid work has changed the way tenants think about office space. They want less square footage overall, but more collaborative areas that support team interaction. Flexibility in how space is used is becoming a must. Second, sustainability is no longer just a bonus, it's a priority. Efficient buildings influence not just operating costs, but also a company's brand image and where they choose to locate. Third, flexible leasing terms have become strategic necessities. Tenants now look for shorter lease durations, options to expand if needed, and rights to scale down. Altogether, these shifts mean tenants value agility just as much as cost savings when negotiating leases. Understanding these trends is essential for anyone involved in tenant representation in commercial real estate today. When we talk about sustainability and tenant priorities, it's clear that tenant representation today goes beyond just cost and flexibility. Environmental performance has become just as important, alongside creating a positive employee experience. One key factor here is LEED certification. Certified spaces not only help lower operating costs, but also enhance the overall quality of the workplace, making them very attractive to tenants. Additionally, there's increasing ESG pressure. Occupiers need buildings that help them meet reporting requirements, retain talent, and support their brand values. Greener buildings provide significant leverage because they align real estate decisions closely with what tenants truly value. Understanding these priorities is essential to effectively represent tenants in the commercial real estate market. When it comes to tenant representation, the key is balancing growth uncertainty with the right space options that keep costs, commitments, and operational flexibility in check. Co-working spaces offer fast occupancy, shared amenities, and lower upfront commitments, making them ideal for teams needing immediate flexibility. Short-term leases are another important tool, allowing businesses to avoid long lock-ins and maintain the ability to test market demand. Adjust hiring pace or reconsider location strategies. Flexible spaces, such as swing suites, expansion rights, and hybrid footprints, provide room to scale occupancy up or down with minimal disruption. Ultimately, the lease should adapt to changing priorities, not become a burden. The best leasing strategy isn't always about the longest term, but rather about preserving optionality and keeping future paths open. This approach ensures tenants can respond quickly as their business needs evolve. When landlords hold leverage in a tight market, negotiating can be challenging, but there are strategies to turn the situation to your advantage. First, start early. Giving yourself more time allows you to compare different spaces, apply pressure on landlords, and avoid making rushed, last-minute compromises. Next, broaden the brief. By expanding factors like geography, lease term length, and timing, you open up more viable options that might not have been initially obvious. Third, consider trading flexibility for priority. This could mean offering your credit strength, agreeing to faster decision-making, or committing to a longer lease term in exchange for more favorable economic terms. Finally, use creative structures such as phased occupancy, renewal options, expansion rights, or subleasing possibilities. These tactics help maintain your leverage and adaptability throughout the lease term. By expanding your options early on and being willing to trade some flexibility, you can secure a better outcome despite the landlord's leverage. Here's a case study that illustrates a successful tenant placement for a 120-person SaaS company looking to relocate its flagship headquarters. The challenge was significant. Their current lease was expiring in 8 months. The existing space had limited room for expansion, and there was strong pressure to remain close to their talent pool. To address this, we developed a comprehensive strategy. We compared 14 different options, carefully modeled the occupancy costs for each, and ultimately created competitive tension among 3 finalist landlords. This approach ensured we had leverage to negotiate favorable terms. The outcome was a bigger Class A office space, featuring flexible growth rights and a significantly improved tenant improvement package. The results were impressive. The company secured an 18% reduction in total occupancy costs compared to their initial renewal path. 6 months of rent abatement, a tenant improvement allowance of $72 per rentable square foot, and enough room to expand their headcount by 35%. This example highlights the value of thorough tenant representation, showing how strategic market analysis and negotiation can deliver cost savings, flexibility, and future growth capacity. When we look at key metrics and performance indicators in tenant representation, the goal is to clearly demonstrate value by tracking savings, speed, and decision quality throughout the entire transaction. One crucial metric is cost per square foot, which benchmarks occupancy costs against both the market and the client's budget targets. This helps us assess cost efficiency directly. Next, the lease rate achieved is a vital indicator. It measures how well negotiations improve the starting rent and the overall financial terms, reflecting the quality of the negotiation outcome. Another important metric is the timeline to occupancy, which tracks the speed from defining requirements to signing the lease and being ready to move in. This execution speed shows how efficiently we can bring a deal to completion. Finally, client satisfaction is all about relationship quality. Using measures like NPS or CSAT, we evaluate whether the space, the process, and the financial results met or exceeded the client's business expectations. Together, these indicators give a comprehensive view of success in tenant representation. As we look to the future of tenant representation, the role is evolving significantly. Traditionally, tenant reps focused primarily on finding the right space, but now advisory work is shifting toward continuous, data-driven decision support. This means we're moving from a one-off transaction mindset to an ongoing partnership that helps tenants make smarter decisions throughout their real estate lifecycle. One key area driving this change is AI-driven analysis. With live market scans and sharper scenario modeling, reps can identify leverage points faster than ever before. This allows for more proactive and strategic moves rather than reactive decisions. Remote negotiation is another game changer. Virtual tours, distributed approvals, and digital deal-making are streamlining processes, compressing decision cycles, and making it easier to close deals efficiently, no matter where stakeholders are located. But it's not just about the lease terms anymore. Workplace quality is becoming measurable, and tenant representatives are increasingly advising clients on utilization, wellness, and overall experience, factors that directly impact employee satisfaction and productivity. The best advisors will integrate data, strategy, and execution seamlessly. They connect analytics, occupancy planning, and negotiation into one cohesive workflow, delivering stronger outcomes and measurable value. Finally, tenant representation is moving away from a one-time transaction to becoming an ongoing strategic service. This means providing continuous portfolio guidance before, during, and even after the lease term, helping clients adapt and thrive in a rapidly changing environment. All of these elements are setting new standards and expectations, ensuring that tenant representation remains relevant and impactful in the future. To wrap things up, let's focus on the key takeaways about tenant representation. A strong tenant representative is invaluable because they create leverage for you, reduce risk, and ensure that every lease decision aligns with your overall business objectives. First, they represent only your interests, giving you a clear, unbiased advantage. Second, they have the expertise to uncover options in the market that might not be obvious or publicly available. Third, they negotiate critical aspects like financial terms, flexibility in the lease, and important protections to safeguard your position. Finally, they make sure that your space strategy is closely aligned with your broader business goals, so your real estate supports your company's success effectively. This comprehensive approach is what sets a skilled tenant rep apart and makes a significant difference in your commercial real estate decisions. Tenant representation in commercial real estate is about much more than just finding a space. It's a strategic advantage. By combining deep market insight with skilled negotiation and careful risk management, tenant representation aligns every decision with the tenant's unique goals. The right advisor doesn't just protect your rental costs, they safeguard your broader business interests, helping you make decisions that support long-term success. Ultimately, Understanding this role can turn what might seem like a simple lease into a powerful tool for growth and stability.